Welcome to the Morning Skate Report presented by UMC, live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Getting ready for Game 3 of the West Division final between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Vegas trying to hold serve at home and make this a 2-1 series. Daren Millard along with Mike McKenna. A lot to get to today. We'll get you out to the morning skate. The players going through their workouts ahead of this one as the series moves back to T-Mobile Arena. And 18,000 fans going to be in attendance. The biggest crowd of the year on the Strip. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, can't wait. I mean, think about where we started this year. And there's nobody in the building. You gradually build up to it. And even remember, 2,000, 3,000 people, it felt like, wow, we've got some noise, we've got some juice. And then you get to 12,000. Well, it was like Motorhead loud, right? Like 110 decibels. You get to 18,000, it's back to it. And it's a celebration, really, not just of this game. It's just life in general returning to kind of normalcy, right? So I think the players are definitely going to feed off of that. Without question, the fans will. But we just can't wait to see everybody there. Walking in the building is going to feel like we're right back where we once were, and unquestionably the players will feel it on the ice.
I want your questions, your comments. Where are you going to watch the game tonight? Looking forward to all the interaction. This is your stream, and we want to interact with you as much as possible. It's not just that the fans haven't been in the building to that capacity yet, but the two teams tonight, they haven't played before this type of crowd in more than a year, so it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, it's a totally new ballgame, really. I mean, you're getting back to a situation where the crowd can really grab that momentum and really make a big difference. And I always think of these moments where, like during my career, I had one moment where I remember getting scored on and couldn't hear anything because of the crowd. It was in the Boston Garden, and I rim the puck around the glass. It goes right to Char, and it's right back down in the net again. These are the types of moments that you think of as a player of where the crowd's so loud. And when you haven't had that for a long time, you're hypersensitive to it. Like that first big hit, that first big scoring chance, you're really going to feel it throughout the whole building. It's going to rise up, and that adrenaline just flows through everybody that's in there.
If you are going to the game, arrive early and stay late. That's our messaging to you, because we haven't experienced this kind of crowd before. And that means increased traffic, increased of both vehicular and, of course, foot traffic. And we want to make sure that everybody gets into the building on time and enjoy nighttime and really gets the full experience. So, yeah, arrive early. MGM Properties all around, some great restaurants, some great bars. Partake in that, get fueled up, and then stay late. No reason to leave the Strip right away. Station Casino's rink cam as the players filter onto the ice for the pregame skate. Nothing yesterday. It's just the first time on the ice since the overtime result on game number 2. So everybody kind of working out the kinks and getting into it. Marc-Andre Fleury going through his skate workout and warm up. Game 3, Vegas is in this 2-0 hole, but boy, what a great performance the other night that in all perspective, the Golden Knights deserved a better result.
Well, just so many things that the Golden Knights did well. And you can look at the simple metrics like shots and chances, but you just think about how they controlled the play more than anything, especially for the second and third period. The tough part for the Golden Knights was the amount of penalties. In the first period, there's 4 minor penalties. You're in the box so much that it's hard to create much momentum, and you end up down 2-1. But then the response, they started to take over, and all the Colorado players said, they really pushed us. We had to rely on Philip Grubauer to get that victory. He was outstanding for Colorado. The Golden Knights really took it to them, created a ton of turnovers. They were able to shadow those top players of Colorado, take away their time and space. You need to see more of that tonight in Game 3. It felt like there was a crescendo building for the Golden Knights, and 2, that they may not have gotten the win. Yes, it goes to overtime. But they know that they planted the seed of doubt in Colorado, that Vegas is real. They can come back in this series. And Mark Stone said it. You don't worry until you lose one at home. And this is Game 3. You've got your fans. And the whole plan, of course, for Mark Stone yesterday saying is we win both of at home. We go back to Colorado, tied up with some momentum, go to Game 5. So they've laid out what their own expectations are going into this game. Just a matter of following through on it.
Some questions coming in via Twitch. Jedi VGK asks, do you guys like pineapple in your pizza? Yeah, no. With pineapple on the pizza, you know what I do? Is I eat all the pineapple first, separate, and then I eat the pizza. But I don't mind it. I just don't eat the pineapple like as a bite of pizza.
So you kind of have it more as like an appetizer. Yeah, it's a little amuse-bouche for you.
It's just there's, I don't know why I do it that way, but
I like
there's
that technique. The answer. Well, I'm kind of ambivalent to it. I'd never shame pizza toppings. I think you can put anything on a pizza. It's a blank canvas. Personally, I don't really like the the interplay of the sweet and salty as much. I'm not huge on pineapple with pizza, but again, don't shame with it. If you like it, that's fine. People should be free to do whatever they want with their pizza.
Chrono J, do you anticipate any lineup changes?
Would think it's doubtful, especially as well as the team played in Game 2. I don't see a need to inject anything into the lineup that's going to potentially change anything. Thought Dylan Secura played well on the line with.
Got some looks, right?
He really did, and Tuck was flying Wah with them. I thought that line looked good. Kolasar filled in very nicely, and he's played so many games, and previously in Game 1 or in the first round, you trust him. So I don't think we will, unless there's a surprise, right? Unless somebody is healthy that we don't expect. There are several players that have been labeled day to day, so that would be the only way I would expect to change.
Or anybody's banged up from game number 2
that we may not know about. Yep.
On YouTube, a question coming in: what do you think about the penalty on Smith in overtime?
Well, I thought it was consistent with other calls already in the game. I thought that the referees had already laid out slashing early on. They had one against Nemeth on Colorado that was a pretty similar play. Not a lot to take that penalty. There were 2 or 3. I think there were 3 slashing penalties in the game. So I know the reaction is, hey, it's overtime. You've got to fight through it. And Rantanen makes the case that I'm not going to drop my stick in the defensive zone while I'm going out to the point. Not going to do that and put our team at a disadvantage. The counterpoint to that is that Mark Stone says, hey, I'm a strong guy. I never drop my stick. Hold on to your stick. So I can see where it's perceived as a soft call, but I think it was consistent with the way they'd called the game. So I didn't have a problem with it. I wish the players would be able to determine it on the ice rather than on a power play. But when the refs set the tone early in a game, you have to expect them to carry that throughout.
It takes a lot to knock a stick out of a player's hand if he's got a grip on it.
It does, but you can also, if you're in motion and if you only have one hand and you're kind of moving, like there's those little moments where it just falls out of your hand, right? And
because you don't have the firm grip on it.
Exactly, right? And especially when you're fighting through traffic like Rantanen was off of a face-off, there are those moments, but that's kind of the unfortunate part of that ruling is that, hey, if you knock the stick out of somebody's hand, if you break the stick's
different than knock the stick out of the hand.
But it hasn't been that different in terms of calls, right? Like the referees look at that as their 2 crucial moments that, hey, when that happens, that's when you're looked upon to make a call. I totally agree. You break a stick, you should sit for sure.
Because they have to go to the bench to get a new stick. Officials will look at it and say they can retrieve the stick. It wasn't that egregious, and they can move on. Colby wants to know, how do you think Vegas can win the series?
Well, it all starts with tonight. It starts with the first period. If you first stay out of the box, period. I think that's the most important thing in the first is that you can't sit there for 8 minutes worth of killing penalties and end up in a hole. But if they can carry what they did in Game 2 and 3, or I'm sorry, in Game 2 in the second and third period, especially into the first, if they can get that lead and get the momentum on their side of the crowd and really be able to carry it like they have all season, I think it's very real. I mean, Philip Grubauer was a huge part to the game in Game 2. Okay, if they get to him early, if they get a couple goals, get his head swimming a little bit, that makes a difference. But I think if they stick to the game plan that they had, if they continue to force pucks, if they continue to play fast in the neutral zone and really spread things out, at times they were able to find that home run pass in Colorado. Colorado lost their gaps. They weren't really as tight as they needed to be. That's where the VGK were able to find seams, long passes that they were able to stretch out in addition to their support up the ice. When they play with support, when they play with a 5-man unit, they have speed. That variability makes a difference.
The goaltender at the far end, where Robin Lehner normally occupies during the morning skate, is Logan Thompson. So no Robin Lehner out there at this point of the morning skate. Marc-Andre Fleury at the other end, so we'll keep an eye on that. Lehner did not back up for game number 2 after the opening game assignment. After his play this year, how important for the VGK is it to re-sign Alec Martinez? That's coming in from Facebook. Thank you very much.
Well, for me, that'd be number one priority. I think Alec Martinez has been invaluable to this club in so many ways. I would have that prime on my list of things to take care of. There's things to do first, though. That's when you look to the offseason, right? You got a Stanley Cup to worry about here first. That's the main commitment of everybody on the team. But I think Alec Martinez, really in the way he's been able to elevate his teammates' play. Okay, he blocks shots. He led the league in that. We know it. Now you see his offensive side, scores a goal last game. He's that nice one-timer threat on the power play, which seems to work well against Grubauer when it gets off his stick quickly. But the way he made Shea Theodore a better defenseman when they paired up, the way that he's worked with Alex Pietrangelo to bring his game back to the elite level that was expected when he came into town, I think Martinez is critical to this team. I would absolutely love to see him remain a Golden Knight. And I think that looking at his perspective, I think the feeling's mutual. He really likes being here. He's completely bought into the culture.
If it times out, we are going to take you to the Pete DeBoer availability ahead of Game 3 tonight, and we will do that live here on the Morning Skate Report, presented by UMC, as you take in the Station Casino's rink cam. And we'll just step back a little bit and let you eavesdrop. They're going to change up the drill here and let you be a fly on the wall or a person in the stands here at City National Arena ahead of Game 3 of this West Division Final. Take in the morning skate and the morning skate report presented by UMC via the Station Casino's ring cam. That's Ryan Craig right in the middle of all the players. You can see the group is kind of thinned out already. Players come out, just do a little bit of a twirl, and then get off the ice. A word from our sponsors, brought to you by T-Mobile, the official 5G wireless service of your Vegas Golden Knights. Back at it here at City National Arena. 2-0, the Colorado Avalanche lead, but the series reverts to Vegas for games 3 and 4 tonight, and then on Sunday, again, 18,000 people in the building for the first time, and the place is going to be rocking. This is going to be game 2 of the Ryan Reeves suspension, so the last time that he will be unavailable before being able to return on Sunday. Questions coming in for Mike McKenna. Can you discuss the young players who can be 82-game players next season, like Krebs, Kolasar, Sekura, Glass? Who do you think is ready?
Well, I think Peyton Krebs is somebody you look to right away. If he hadn't had the injury he suffered with the broken jaw late in the season, I expected him to play a big part of this playoff run. I think what he did in the Western Hockey League this year, Daren, correct me if I'm wrong, leading the league in scoring in an abbreviated season in the Western Hockey League, had a really strong World Juniors for Canada. This is somebody who's puck hungry, who can inject some momentum and just inject energy into the lineup. And I look especially, at center depth, he has that. He can play wing as well. Played wing for Canada in the World Juniors, played center, played defense in the Western League this year at times. They needed some help. They were short on bodies. So a utility man. I think Krebs is definitely knocking on the door. And I think for Cody Glass going to the American League this year and being able to dominate games again, to get that feeling back where he knew he could take over, that could really help. I'd expect Keegan Colasar to be a full part of this team as well next year, especially as big of a role as he played this season. I'd expect that to grow.
Yeah, Peyton Krebs' note reminds me of a story Darren Elliott told me when they would go up against Wayne Gretzky when he was a kid. Gretzky would play and score all these points as a forward, and then when he needed rest, he would drop back and play defense. He never went off. He would just drop back, play on the blue line, and then go back up. Elliott crossing over with Wayne Gretzky during his minor hockey days. Racer962 on Twitch. Great handle. Do you think we are just finally recovering from Game 7 of Round 1? VGK seemed exhausted in Game 1, and Game 2 a little bit more ready to play. I think tonight both teams should be on par with rest level.
Yeah, I think that's a really good observation. And, the players are never going to make an excuse. The team won't make an excuse. But going into Game 1, they had a lot stacked against them. Marc-Andre Fleury touched on it, that especially going back and forth between time zones, right? Minnesota's in the central time zone, obviously Vegas being in the Pacific. That takes a lot out of your body. Your sleep cycles get thrown off. Playing 7 games in 14 days, there's validity to it. But for the players, you're always hoping that momentum of a really emotional Game 7 carries you into Game 1. Well, it didn't really happen for the Golden Knights. That was the plan. It didn't happen. So they get through that game. And I thought, though, that the energy level for Game 2 is where it needed to be. They got a full day off after Game 1. And then a big part of this is that they were able to have a full practice the day before leading up to Game 2. That's critical for teams, especially going into a playoff series. You have these moments where you're doing homework before a series. You're trying to find out as much as you can about the opposition. You're doing video. When you roll directly from a Game 7 into the 2 nights later playing a game, you don't really have that opportunity to prepare as much. So I think all of that helped. I think the physical level of energy, the mental energy that it took to compete was there in Game 2. And like you alluded to, I think now we're looking at a stage where both of these teams have those same levels, and they'll be able to bring it tonight at what you would expect to see.
So many reasons to be optimistic coming off Game 2 performance where they carried the level of the play territorially, the shot clock, scoring chances, had all kinds of opportunities. There's that, and then there's the reality. It's Game 3, and you're down 2, and it doesn't happen very often that you come back from 3-0 down. Not to say that you can't, but tonight is a huge game into the makeup of this series.
100%. You get to 2-1, and you feel like, hey, okay, we're within striking distance. You almost look at the wins of games like it would look at a score in a game, right? What a series is at, right? If you're at 3-0 in a game, you've got a pretty big hole to dig yourself out of. You get to the third period and you're thinking, man, can we do this? 2-1 in a game, yeah, you've got life. You're right there. You start to string together wins. 2-0 is not a death sentence. You can still go, but they need a result tonight. You need to get the win. And that's what we've talked about so long this year, is that they found ways to win. And that was what we heard from Colorado after Game 2, is that they found a way to win. They knew that the Golden Knights pushed them, that they gave them everything they needed. There's little things the Golden Knights can do tonight to be better, to get the win, but they got to be diligent in what they do, because Colorado's going to be bringing their best as well.
Expecting Pete DeBoer to address the media in a couple of minutes. We will take you to that Zoom conference live here on the Morning Skate Report, presented by UMC, as you watch the Station Casinos Rink Cam at City National Arena. Where are you watching from right now? Let us know. VGK Worldwide as you tune in from around the globe. Also, where are you going to watch the game tonight? Your favorite chair? Are you going to be at the rink tonight? Let us know. I'd love to get a vibe of what you are feeling right now. If the Knights win, and this is from Twitter, Tyler wants to know, if the Knights win, do you see Reeves slotting back into the lineup when he comes back from his suspension in Game 4?
I'd expect it. I mean, Ryan Reeves is such a big part of the locker room and the makeup of the team, and especially the physical aspect. That, in Game 2 is pretty even on the hit side, right? And you've got two fast teams, and I don't expect the hit totals to be like they were in the Minnesota series, where you have to play a little bit of a different game against a team that sits back so much. But I think the physicality of Reeves, I think just the fact of having him in the lineup as that deterrent, it keeps things on the ice under control, under wraps. And I feel like when you bring Reeves in the lineup, it's that breath in the locker room that, hey, we're back to normal. We've got our full complement, our full lineup. You can never underestimate how important it is to have your leaders in the locker room, no matter what their role may be. That's what Reeves brings to the team. And, I think that for him especially, he's going to be hungry, right? You come off a 2-game suspension, you're back in the lineup, gives you a little bit of extra juice. Like, you want to come back and play your best and reestablish yourself.
NHLer77 on Twitter wants to know, is Fleury playing tonight or is Leonard getting the start? Haven't seen Leonard on the ice, and Fleury went through his normal workout, so we would assume by that.
I think so, and now we're seeing Yuri Patera on the ice as well. So have not seen Leonard in morning skate. It would seem to indicate that you would see Marc-Andre Fleury, and Logan Thompson, as you talked about earlier, was out there previously. And mass tip to Logan Thompson, by the way, AHL Goaltender of the Year, the Baz Bastian Award, a huge honor for him in his first American Hockey League season. But yes, I would think that given what we saw and given that Robin Leonard appeared to be unavailable last game, did not back up, we would see Marc-Andre Fleury again tonight.
Mandy watching from Colorado this morning stream. Mike is up in Red Deer. Hello, Mike. I hope things are going great there as you turn a corner. Greg in Moses Lake, Washington. You know where that is?
No, I don't.
No,
I know where Washington is, but Moses Lake, never heard of.
Well, at least you know where Washington is. I'd be
you.
worried if that was the case.
Geography, strong point.
Rhonda in Saskatchewan tuning in tonight to the Morning Skate Report presented by UMC. Looks like Marc-Andre Fleury is actually still out there. He takes more shots than most guys do during a morning skate, and especially before a pivotal game like this.
Yeah, he likes to take it. He likes to work, and some goalies are very different. Some don't even want to take the morning skate, but Marc-Andre has always been somebody that wants to get his reps in, wants to feel good about his game. It's just different for everybody. I mean, you see it in warm-up. If you show up early to a game, watch Marc-Andre Fleury when he's starting. Watch him battle for pucks. Not everybody does that. Like, some people will stand in the net. They won't even go down to their knees to make a save in warm-ups. They'll just kind of flow, get their hands involved. Marc-Andre tries to stop an awful lot of pucks. That's just his technique. Everybody's different. I think it's served him pretty well, Daren. Don't you think?
Yeah, third all-time in wins. That's Ryan Craig dropping pucks for the centermen and the various wingers that get a little bit of a tune-up on their drills. This happens almost every morning skate, too. Just closer to you, the assistant coach at the bottom of the circle is Misha Donskov, who does a lot of the skills work and has spent all season up working with the practices, and rave reviews from Misha Donskov from the players. You'll hear every now and then the players singling Misha out for the work that he's done with him.
Yeah, absolutely. You've heard it constantly that, if you've been out of the lineup, if you're getting back to it, did all the work with Misha. Misha was great. We got all back in my game, and somebody who's his career path in hockey has been so interesting for Misha, right? Coming from a player development, coming from building an organization out in a different city, coming here, and just a really, really intelligent, warm individual that he can extract the best out of the players. He finds that way to do it, and he's been integral into this team, keeping them healthy, getting them back from injuries, and improving the entire skill set of the players.
Station Casino's rink cam to head coach Pete DeBoer, who is into his Zoom media press conference prior to game number 3.
Good job. I think, our PK depth's been tested with Nosek and Janmark out of the lineup. And, the guys that are getting some of those minutes in place of those guys, have got to get the job done for us when they get in there.
Next question today for Pete DeBoer comes from Nick Katanika with NHL.com.
Nick?
Hey, Pete, sort of piggybacking on that, when you look at the types of penalties you took in Game 2, what would you make of that, and what have you told your team about those types of penalties?
Well, yeah, obviously, I think discipline has been one of our strengths all year, and I thought it was through the Minnesota series too. So their speed obviously puts you sometimes in some vulnerable places to take some penalties where some other teams don't have that. So you got to keep your stick on the ice, check with your legs. At the same time, there's been some unfortunate ones too, pucks over the glass, and the overtime one the other night, stuff that you're not counting on being penalties, but we've got to deal with it better.
Next question for Pete goes to David Shane, Las Vegas Review Journal.
Hi, Pete. I don't know if you've been asked. Just we didn't see Alex Tuck this morning. Is there an update, or is that just maintenance?
Anybody not out there this morning is a game time decision.
Next, we'll go to Vince Sapienza, Channel 5, Las Vegas.
Hey, Pete, last week ahead of Game 7, I asked, with the home crowd behind you, do you try and ride the wave, as a team going into this game? So I'll ask you the same thing. With the series the way it is, 100% capacity, are you just trying to ride that early wave and that momentum?
Well, I'll tell you, there's no place on earth we'd rather be playing Game 3. I can tell you that. Should be a huge advantage for us. Guys are excited to play. City and arena are open back up, so the world feels normal. Should be an advantage for us.
We'll go back to David Chain with the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Hey, David.
Hi, Pete. Sorry. My calendar math is terrible. I know Braden McNabb's got to be close to about 10 days. Just from the team standpoint, is he close to getting back on the ice, or where are things?
He's in protocol, so I mean that's a pretty extensive. There's pretty extensive parameters on what he's allowed to do and not allowed to do. Obviously, every day that goes by, he gets closer to coming back, but he's not an option tonight.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Words of Pete DeBoer ahead of Game 3 tonight. Love that line. There's no other place we'd rather be on earth than at the Fortress tonight.
I can't remember what that's a line from. I feel like it's a song, is it? There's no place we'd rather be. I can't remember what it is. Somebody out there on all the streamers, let us know what that's from. But he's right. You're home. Your fans are here. It's your ice. It's your building. Your family's in the stands. That's an added bonus. Players love that. Being able to give a little bit of juice and seeing their families up there, 100%.
Via Twitch, what can Vegas do to regain the confidence after hitting the post so many times?
I think there were 5 posts in the game.
I think it was all the same post, too.
It was the depending which direction you're looking at, the goalie's right post, the shooter's left, and Riley Smith hit 3 of them. So Riley Smith picks up a goal on a breakaway, but he hits the post 3 times. Think about 1 or 2 of those going in. I don't think it's a confidence factor. I think it's actually something that the team will look at and say, hey, we were right there knocking on the door, quarter inch either way. It's the old Gordon Bombay rule from the Mighty Ducks. If you remember that movie.
Well, there's the reboot on right now.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet. Have you seen it yet?
Yes.
Is it good?
It's good. It's great.
Okay, I'm going to have to check this out. I was wary of it because I have really fond childhood
memories.
No,
it hits all the right notes.
Good. That makes me happy to hear. But in any case, though, quarter inch either way and the game's totally different. You look at that as thinking, hey, we got great opportunities. We were that close to capitalizing. It may not have happened, but I think that's actually a boost in confidence for the team, thinking that there were that many more chances that may not have gone that were that close. So I don't see it as a negative in any way.
We will continue, but take a break here on the Morning Skate Report presented by UMC. Final thoughts coming up as you take in the Station Casinos Rink Cam.
The most challenging opponent is one that adapts. That's when you need to take your game to a higher level. Just like the doctors at Comprehensive Cancer Centers. From using the body's immune system to fight cancer, to pinpoint surgery without the surgery, Comprehensive is finding new ways to attack, new ways to defend, new ways to change the game. World-class skill, elite care, Comprehensive Cancer Centers.
At Smith's, we go over and above to make sure we have the freshest stuff in our stores. That's why we get secret shoppers to do pop inspections.
Secret Asian man, secret Asian man.
We make sure Smith's produce isn't just fresh, it's fresher than fresh. Smith's, fresh for everyone.
Dollar Loan Center has been Nevada's community short-term lender for over 20 years, and DLC is thrilled to announce that we are now the official short-term lender of the Vegas Golden Knights and Henderson Silver Knights. And we are taking it up a notch with a brand new location, and this one is 200,000 square feet. We are proud to have the Silver Knights call the Dollar Loan Center its new home. And yes, we'll even have an activation center in our amazing new Henderson Arena. Opening in early 2022.
Back here in Studio 31, City National Arena, as things start to wrap up in the morning skate ahead of Game 3. The Vegas Golden Knights aiming to win and close the gap to 2-1 against the Colorado Avalanche. We wanted this series so bad, and we were anticipating it almost from the start of the season that Vegas and Colorado started to separate themselves from the pack in the West Division, and the whole hockey world started to get on board. Boy, Game 2 didn't disappoint.
No, it didn't. It was great hockey to watch. I mean, sitting around, and I took it in at a local establishment, and just it was fun to watch from a fan perspective. You know, I mean, so often, like, obviously I'm paying attention to the game and trying to take some mental notes of things, but to just see the excitement, everybody, like, that was an up and down the ice, fast hockey game, skill on display. You saw the best from both clubs. The top lines for each team had opportunities. The defense was involved for both games, which hadn't been the case for the VGK early in the game one, at least. Game 2, you know, Theodore gets involved and the rest of the crew, and it's just fun hockey to watch. Good goaltending. Like, that was exactly what you hope to see out of playoffs. Obviously, you want to see the VGK on the other side of the ledger at the end of the game. But, man, from a fan standpoint, it's just great hockey. And everybody did. They had it circled. It's the top 2 teams in the league. You wish that this was later. You wish this was a cup final. But it's the reality of what this season is. You want to win the cup, you got to go through one another.
And you look at the VGK lineup, and how many times during the course of a season where you go, I can remember something that stood out from every single skater, and then Marc-Andre Fleury from the game. Patrick Brown had a couple of big hits and a chance right at the fourth line up to the top unit.
You can make notes on everybody on something that they did. They can all contributed, right? And that's, I mean, first off, that's how the VGK wants to play. They need to have all 4 lines going. They need to roll them. I don't think you saw that as much from Colorado. They really relied on their top 3 lines more so, and didn't make as much of an impact. And I think that's the strength of the Golden Knights going forward, is that they do need those contributions throughout the lineup. And it was a game that I think everybody on the club could look at and identify things that they did very well that they can build upon for Game 3.
And just to spin it over from Game 2 to Game 3, and what you look for, what you liked to continue. Top line to top line, they were on the ice head-to-head 5-on-5 about 8.5 minutes during the course of Game number 2, and it was the Golden Knights, Stevenson, Pacioretty, and Stone, who had 9 shots on goal to 0. Rush chances were 3-0. Slot chances were 6-0, and the score, neither line was able to hit the back of the net. But it was a decisive turnaround from Game 1 to Game 2 between the 2 top units.
Yeah, and especially on the rush. Nathan McKenna, especially in Game 1, really took things over, and that's been a growth to his game. Early in his career, he just tried to go straight through everybody. Now he's become very adept at creating lanes, pushing D back, knowing when to delay. The Golden Knights did a great job of shutting him down by, one, taking his time and space away in the game, but also that top-line matchup. You look at, really to me, the speed of Stevenson made the difference for the team, and the way he was able to track through the middle of the ice to create turnovers and to force people wide where Stone can get his stick involved and go the other direction. How many times did we see Chandler Stevenson behind the D? It happened often. Alex Tuck the same way. When you're starting to get those clean chances, you know you're pushing the pace of play, especially against such a fast team like Colorado. You're controlling the play, you're controlling the puck. They may not have scored on the top line with Stone, Pacioretty, and Stevenson, but that was a really strong game for them that they should be confident to build upon for 3.
Like your chances when you don't give up any shots as well to the other team's
Usually,
top unit. Watching the Station Casinos Rink Cam Morning Skate Report presented by UMC from Studio 31 here at City National Arena. Before we go, 8.5 minutes, 5-on-5 between the 2 top lines. That's quite a bit.
It is.
5-on-5 with all the penalties that were involved in that game. Jared Bednar had last change. He obviously didn't mind the matchup, even though it was in favor of the Golden Knights. I wonder how much Pete DeBoer stays with that head-to-head.
It'll be interesting to see, especially when you have those analytics of looking at the chances against, the rushes, shots, and they all look at that. Coaching staffs will try to uncover any gem that they can find to give yourself an advantage. You wonder at the start of the game. I'm curious to see who starts for the Golden Knights. Does Pete DeBoer go with the fourth line to try to create a heavy forecheck right off the bat? Do they go with the first line? It depends who Colorado's going to put out. That's something to keep an eye on to start. But that matchup did seem to play very nicely for the Golden Knights. And I mean, I also think the second line, when you look at Carlson, Smith, and Marchessault, they're plenty capable of keeping up too. But as you said, with that many penalties, that is a huge amount of time to go head to head. Those lines canceled each other on the score sheet, but when it looks into the chances, that's where you saw that roll towards the VGK favor.
Hopefully the post shaves towards the Golden Knights' favor in this one. Tune in to NBCSN for the game tonight. Eddie Olczyk, along with Kenny Albert, Brian Boucher will have the call on the television side this evening at 7 o'clock on the VGK Radio Network and Fox Sports Las Vegas. A pregame show starts at 6 o'clock with Ryan Wallace, and then he turns it over to Dan Duba and Gary Lawless for the call of the game at 7 o'clock. And if you want more VGK hockey talk, it's nighttime at noon coming up.
I would guess noon.
Thank you.
Let's make sure Dave Gosher knows.
It's funny. How people can be late for nighttime at noon is a different one. But nighttime at noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas in just over an hour as we continue to tee things up. Stormy Buonantony will be hosting that program. It's a big one. Game 3. 18,000 people in the stands. Arrive early. Don't get caught in traffic. Don't get caught at the gate. Make sure you're there and ready to go for nighttime at 6:30, and then enjoy all that the Strip has to offer as we're back to normal. 18,000 people, that's pretty close to normal. A Vegas Golden Knights win would be certainly in the right direction. Thanks for being part of the Morning Skate Report from Studio 31, presented by UMC.